Are you a burnt out overachiever buried in responsibilities? Do you miss laughing with your friends, just laughing from the gut? Do you feel like life's passing you by? If you've been wishing for some kind of shift, you're in the right place. Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, the show where we take you off the hamster wheel by ditching your to do list for the to don't list. This is where you get to learn how to make that lonely ache vanish, learn self compassion techniques, and to give yourself grace. I'm Lauren Abrams, and I get to help you feel that magic again since going through my own dark night of the soul. So you can learn from my experience and the mentors and experts I meet along the way. And today we're talking to spiritual coach, manifestor, and author Valerie Inez. Are you ready to level up your intuitive gifts and improve your way of thinking? Align with your personal power and soul's calling? You know you're meant for something greater in this lifetime, and Valerie's here right now helping you learn how to tap into the most incredible part of you, the steps to take for you to manifest and climb into your vision. Learn how to shift your perceptions and find your inner light, magic, and divine power. The author of the book Shadow Works Journal for Self-Love. Welcome to 52 Weeks of Hope, Valerie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What a beautiful intro.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you again. You were here with your
Same.
co-author, and I saw you have another book out now too. So congratulations on that. You've been doing such amazing work. Okay, in researching you, and maybe you told me this last time we talked, you used to work at a law firm
I
or
did.
worked in law. Like that's just so incredible to me, given what you're doing now. But I guess people are often surprised I'm a lawyer too. So that I'm in law at all. But we used to meditate in my law firm back when we worked in office as opposed to from home. So I always say I'm a meditating lawyer, and I'm not the only one. I've since you find your tribe, people that vibrate at the same as you. What led you to be on this spiritual path and this journey and doing shadow work, which we are going to talk about what that even is, but like what gave you that shift?
I think so. I remember late 2019, I was having a really hard time in my marriage and I felt just lost. I felt like there was something missing in my life and I didn't know what it was. And I remember I wrote a letter to God and I'm like, look, this is not the life that I want to live. I don't like anything about my life. I just feel like everything is just crumbling all around me and I need something to shift or I'm going to check out because I don't want to be here anymore. And shortly after I wrote that letter, I ended up having a spiritual awakening and it just hit me like a ton of bricks where I just woke up to the idea that what I see isn't not necessarily real. Not everything that we see outside of us is what we think it is, what we perceive it to be. And then all of a sudden, I remember I got on TikTok and fell into the whole of spiritual talk, which I don't even know how I stumbled onto that. I think everything just aligned so beautifully. And after I had my spiritual awakening, I really started diving into the idea of who I wasn't because I feel like I was carrying so much conditioning and programming based on what I was raised with, based on what I knew. And so I never really questioned why I thought the way I did or why I had beliefs the way that I did. And when I had children, they helped me become aware of why I was reacting the way I was. I remember like when I would get angry, my kids would be like, why are you so angry? What's the matter? And I'd be like, I don't know why. And then I remember when they told me that one question, why are you so angry? I don't know. Why am I so angry? And that kind of led me into doing shadow work and really investigating my unconscious mind. And then it just spiraled into
Okay,
everything.
so shadow work. Let's just go back. Like, what is shadow work?
So shadow
Okay.
work is basically just a process of uncovering what is unconscious. That's why they call it shadow work. So it's diving into your limiting beliefs. It's diving into your patterns and your triggers and the things that we really don't we're not very conscious and aware of. It's just a part of who we are. For example, so many women struggle with the idea of not being good enough.
Yeah.
Just feel like we're just not good enough. And we were just talking about this earlier. You are enough, period. Like I just told myself that yesterday. I'm enough because I exist. Simply because I'm here, I'm good enough. But we have this inherent, I guess, collective wound, if you want to call it that, of not being good enough. And then if you really dive deep, why don't I feel like I'm good enough? Who told me that? Why do I believe that now? And really just getting curious and questioning that kind of belief is just shadow work. So it's just diving into the depths of your unconscious mind.
I feel like self-worth is something that we deal with forever.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing this work for so long, and my head I had 3 different episodes of imposter syndrome or self-worth, whatever you wanna call it, and I did a reframe, though. This is where I see my growth. I was like, "If I have 3 different episodes of it in 3 different areas in a matter of a week, I must be on the verge of such greatness." That was my reframe
Yes.
because I'm like, "What?" And at least I can recognize it also. I that's the advantage of doing the work also, and
Yes.
so on. So go ahead.
Yeah, I talk to so many women who have the same belief of just not being good enough. I feel like and they don't say unworthy, it's just I don't feel good enough. And when we go into that, that really leads to you having the fear of being seen, having the fear of being judged, a fear of being heard, feeling like the vision and the desire that you have for your life, why even bother? Because there's no way I'm going to get there because I'm not good enough to even reach that goal, or I'm not good enough to have a loving relationship or whatever it is. There are so many layers to that one question, why don't you feel good enough? And what I do with my clients is we go into a meditation where I'll take them into their subconscious mind, which is basically just doing a little bit of like relaxation and just talking to your body. I don't think that people have the understanding that if you just took time to pause and throughout your day and just ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Your body will be like, this is why, girl, I need you to pay attention to this. It really is just that level of
Yeah,
awareness. And that's what
yeah.
I do with my clients. So I'll be like, okay, so let's locate the wound of not being good enough. Where is it in your body? Okay, now let's talk to it. Why is it there? And there's so many times where it's an instance in your childhood where you were made to feel like you weren't good enough, or maybe you were told to your opinion doesn't matter, or this is the way that you're supposed to behave. If you go into that layer of not being good enough, you'll be able to discover where it came from and detach from that belief so that when it comes up again, you'll remember, oh, I actually am good enough. Or I know that I'm feeling this way because I was conditioned to believe this way.
Aren't there journaling prompts that also because everybody
Hmm.
cannot you
Hmm.
we can't work with
Yeah,
every single person to do.
right.
So, aren't there certain journaling prompts, or maybe I'll have you come into the Facebook group and we'll do a group thing. But for right
Oh, I
now,
would love that. Yeah.
yeah, I know that would be so amazing. We'll do that. But for right now, I know that you have prompts or things that
Mhm.
people can do. Or can you just write at the top of the page, "Why am I feeling like this?" and just free write? Go ahead.
Mhm. So, for example, let's say that you want something, or you want to say something, or you want to pursue something, and you feel like that resistance. You'll feel it in your body. You feel like a little bit tense, or your throat will close, or you'll have this limiting belief that will come up that'll say, like, why bother? That's never going to happen. Those self deprecating thoughts that come in, ask yourself why. Why am I thinking like that? When was the first time I believed that? That's really powerful in itself. When was the first time that I believed that insert limiting belief?
What if you can't remember?
I would really encourage you to just explore when it does come up and ask yourself, how can I move through this? Or why do I feel like I can't achieve that thing? But it's not necessarily about remembering the root of everything, because I don't want people to feel like, okay, something happened in my childhood and I don't want to revisit that. You don't have to at all. If you just get curious with your way of thinking and begin to ask yourself, why don't I feel that way? A lot of things will come up for you, but I think many times we take the belief and either we accept it or we ignore it and push it away. But if you just get curious and start asking yourself, why not?
Okay,
Why
so
not me?
okay, exactly, why not me? I mean, that's
Mhm.
I love the why not
Yeah.
me. But, so let's go back to here you are, you said you had a spiritual awakening.
Mhm.
What was that? What did that look like for you?
So the spiritual awakening for me was I ended up, I guess I'll go into this. So I ended up going on spiritual talk. And this is when I had already been like meditating for a while. I had been
Okay,
meditating.
so we'll go back because here you are, you write this letter to God, you're like you're
Mhm.
just depressed, you wanted to end things, you didn't know what was going on. Were you already meditating? Why did you start meditating? Like, how did you start meditating?
So I started meditating when I was pregnant with my middle son. So I started meditating back, he was
So you
born
were
in
already meditating.
2015. So in 2014. So in 2014, I dabbled into meditation, and I only did it because I was going to have a natural birth. And I felt like that would really help me shift my focus into concentrating and being able to own my body, and the idea that I could have a natural birth. Side note, it did work. I did have a natural birth. But after that, I wasn't meditating very frequently, but it was something that I kind of dabbled into. And so when I had my spiritual awakening again, it really just felt like, all of a sudden I woke up from a deep sleep. Like the fog had lifted and there was something here that I was meant to investigate. And then when I got on TikTok, I started diving into the rabbit hole of spiritual talk, meeting your spirit guides and meditating and cleansing and all the things. And then I remember I was like, okay, I'm just going to start meditating again because I feel like that really helped me center myself so that I wouldn't be so emotional and upset when I was trying to raise my children because they don't deserve that. Like they deserve the best mother that I could be. And so I started like dabbling into meditation. And then I ended up finding, which I don't recommend anybody do this, I ended up finding the CIA HemiSync tapes, which are basically what the CIA uses in order to, I want to say, regulate your both sides of your brain, the hemispheres in your brain. And I ended up finding that, which led me to have a crown chakra opening. So it's like a Kundalini awakening, but backwards. So it was like coming in this way. And then all of a
And for anybody who's listening and not watching, she's going in from a crown chakra at the top of her head, above her
yeah.
head, and going downward. Go ahead.
And so basically, a crown chakra opening is just awakening your consciousness and your connection to source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. And for me, it felt like there was like tingles in my brain, or I don't know, like waves coming in, and I didn't know what was happening. And then all of a sudden I like was starting to go into crystal shops, and I ended up meeting this lady who owned her own crystal shop here in town. And I talked to her and she's, oh yeah, I do Reiki. And she was like, you should come in one day. And she's like a former geologist, retired geologist who ended up opening her own crystal shop. Like, how cool is that? And she did a Reiki session on me. And then I remember she just told me, she's like, the vision, she didn't know anything about my story. She's like, the visions that you're having are real. Because at that moment, I started to have a lot of visions in my meditation. She's like, you are here to heal people. You are here to help. She was like, you need to do that. And I remember at that moment, even just talking about it makes me really emotional because she validated so much and she didn't even
I have
know.
goosebumps. Yeah, I love that. I love these stories.
She
Go ahead.
know. And then all of a sudden, like I just started to really explore meditation and explore my intuitive gifts. I started it kind of, I feel like it just catapulted into, from me feeling like I was completely lost, to me being, okay, let me explore this feeling a little bit deeper, and me working on doing a lot of shadow work and a lot of inner child healing and just doing so many healing aspects. And then me exploring my gifts, me learning that I could actually channel. I have so many intuitive gifts that I suppressed that I had as a child. And it catapulted into there to where I was doing readings for people, figured out like everything that I was experiencing was actually real because they were validating it. And so now that's what I'm doing now, is showing people how to use their intuitive gifts, which is just a natural part of you.
And so, for people listening, how can they tap into their own intuitive gifts? Because everyone has them. And in different ways. There's different ways to tap in. There's different ways. And I'm all about the pause. So I've been really like taking that breath
Mhm.
and slowing down, even if you have kids, the ability to laugh. I
Yes.
feel like we're losing the ability to just get together with girlfriends and laugh, or to get
Mhm.
on the floor with your kids and play. And because the busyness, I understand. I'm not judging. If it sounds
Mhm.
judgy, I do not mean to be. But taking that pause, putting your hand on your chest and giving yourself that grace. And it's in that you can tap into your intuitive abilities.
Yes.
So, how do you teach people to know what their intuitive abilities are? And again, everyone can't see you individually. So, for people listening, how can they do that?
It's so funny that you say that because that's exactly what I tell my clients is I say, do you take time to stop and check in with yourself? Which is just you pausing, putting your hand on your heart, the other one on your tummy, and just saying, okay, what do I need right now? Just taking some, what do I need right now? And maybe it's, can you just take a minute to just sit down for 5 seconds, stop running around? Or maybe you need to go outside because you're starting to get a little bit depressed and you need to go get some sunshine. Small things like that are really helpful. But the way that I teach my clients is really to just tap into your body, just closing your eyes, going in and starting to explore your own energy, your own magic that lives within you that is just waiting to be unfolded. I do it a lot differently. It's hard for me to explain, but I'm going to do my best. So, first, let me step back. So, intuitive gifts are basically your just connection to the energy around you. It is your awareness to your intuition, for lack of a better word. We all have intuition, just like you have that immediately gut feeling about somebody, right? You just have this like visceral reaction in your body. Maybe you meet somebody and then you pick up the vibe of that person. Things like that are your body's clues. That's clairsentient, the ability to feel energy. We all have this ability. We've all met somebody that I'm just like, you're like, no, this person is not for me. Or,
Yeah.
oh my God, yes, I love this person. That's the easiest one to tap into. The other one is claircognizance, which I feel like so many people have this. It's just the clear knowing. You just know something about somebody. You just know how a movie's going to end. You just know the outcome of something. You just know without any logical reasoning. Again, so many women have this. The other one is clairaudience, the ability to hear energy, which is if you're talking to yourself out loud and then you have feedback in your thoughts or outside of you that's very supportive and kind and gentle. That's the ability to hear guidance. And the other one is clairvoyance, which we all know, which is just the ability to see either through your mind or outside of you. You have visions, you can see light, symbols, colors in your meditations, things like that. We all have these gifts. Okay. And those are the top 4 clairs. So the way that I teach my clients, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, no, I don't want to. Yeah, I was going to ask a question. I was going to put it into like practical terms, like
Mhm.
when you walk in a house and this is the house for me,
Yes.
or you walk into a party and you're like, the energy here is so bad and I need to leave. Or
Yes.
when my kids were little, we
Mhm.
have a code word and we still laugh about it because they're in college now, but one graduated. But we had a code word, no questions asked. If anybody had a sense that there was somebody bad or scary, or we had a code word and we leave immediately. Like
Love that.
even if a server, like we're eating someplace and there's a server that's creepy or somebody,
Mhm.
and we leave immediately, no
Mhm.
questions asked. And we had our code word and it was a piece of fruit that, like, anyway, it was like, let's go.
Mhm.
And because you know when there's bad energy from somebody, even as a little kid, especially little kids.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
it.
I'll give you like a real tangible example on intuition and gifts. I was at a birthday party with my daughter, and it was a bowling birthday party, and all the kids were crowded next to each other. And I just had this knowing I needed to pull her back away from the crowd. I didn't know why. It was just a knowing. So I pulled her back. Immediately after pulling her back, the kid that was standing in front of her dropped his bowling ball right where she was standing. So it would have gone on her foot. It's just a knowing that you just follow the instinct rather than questioning it.
Yeah,
And so if you feel like you are a little bit intuitive, I would really encourage you to one, start trusting yourself, um,
absolutely.
two, and explore that because we all have the gifts, either if regardless of your gender, it's there. Right. And I think
Oh
it's so much
yeah.
easier for women because we just have this, it's the divine feminine. It's the feminine energy of the knowing, the surrender, the flow, creative energy. That is your intuition.
And you practice Ayurvedic?
No,
Or no,
I do
okay,
not.
okay. I don't know why I had that in there. And now when somebody has a life and they're just dreaming about it, that's everybody else is doing it. There's no room for me. All that negative self-talk that isn't true at all, by the way, because nobody can do it the way you can do it. Everybody has their own
Exactly.
unique handprint.
Yes.
But um, how? What would you tell somebody when they're having those kinds of thoughts?
I would really encourage you to say, why not me? If you could see somebody else do it, why not you? Aren't there 7 billion people on this planet who are all so unique and different in their own way? If you could see somebody doing what you want to be doing, why not you too? There's room for everybody, and those kind of thoughts are lack. Like there's not enough room. But what if that person can do it and you can do it too? Both can be true.
Absolutely. It's an expansive universe. Whatever we focus on grows, focusing on the positive for sure. So, how do you help people get rid of their limiting beliefs? Just by looking at where it originates? Is that
So, what I do with my clients is again, we just go into a relaxation state. So, basically, if you like before you go to bed, you know how sometimes you're just so wired you can't go to bed? I teach my kids how to do this too. It's
not
basically
me?
I find like sometimes if I've had too much coffee that day, like I'm just like, oh, there's so much
Yeah.
going on. If you just lay down and you take your awareness and you scan each body part. So let's say, that you scan your forehead and you say, I invite my forehead to relax. I invite my face to relax. I invite the muscles in my neck to relax. And you just do that step by step with all the little body parts in your body, the little body parts, all the body parts in your body. And you just allow yourself to relax. When you regulate your nervous system, which is that's all you're doing, you can tap into your intuition and tap into your limiting beliefs. For example, if you're struggling with the idea of not being good enough, you would go in your body after you relax. Body, can you please show me where I feel like I'm not good enough? Where is that located for me? And then your awareness is going to be drawn to a certain location in your body. Let's say, for example, it's your solar plexus area, right? Which is just where your tummy, where your confidence lies, is what that is. And then you would go to your solar plexus and you would talk to your solar plexus. Okay, why do I feel like I'm not good enough here? What is ready to come up for me that I need to know? Your body is like literally this map of information that will tell you, I don't feel good enough because this thing, right? I don't feel good enough because I'm really bored and I can't be creative anymore. Whatever it is, it'll come up for you if you just allow your awareness to just dive into there. And so I feel like when people have that aha moment, it clicks something in them. Okay, that makes so much sense. If you just allow yourself to release that belief, which I do it through energy work, which is just you basically visualizing the energy of that belief coming out. That in itself is so incredibly powerful. And everybody can do this. It's not, oh, only I can do this. And you have to come to me to work with me. I'm telling you step by step on what we do because I don't do this for my clients. I walk them through it and have them do it to themselves. So I don't ever do any healing on people. I allow them to be guided in order to know how to do this on their own. So when they have another belief coming up, they can say, okay, I'm having this belief come up. Let's explore this. Let's figure this out. And so that's all I do is it's through energy work, through identifying the belief where it's located, talking to your body, releasing and letting it go.
Yeah,
That's it.
no, that's perfect. I love that. So you were in this dark place and you ended up getting divorced, right?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you slowly get out of the dark place? By doing this work and being on TikTok and you're talking about being in the CIA, the different hemispheres, like different videos, and then what?
So I did the CIA HemiSync tapes in 2020, like during the pandemic when we were all
Okay.
in lockdown. Okay. And
Yeah.
it really helped me manage the traumatic event that we were going through. And so after I ended up leaving my ex-husband in 2021, late 2021, and I basically started all over. I no longer want to be tied to somebody who I feel is not on my team. It was not a very supportive, nurturing, loving environment. So it was either I stay in this or I can just start all over and not have that. Right. So I chose to leave. And honestly, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done because it really was a testament to what I would allow in my life because we were together for 14 years. So it took me that long to decide to leave or not to decide, to have the courage to leave.
Okay.
So when I left, I really just kept doing a lot of inner work, really addressing my limiting beliefs and really diving into my gifts. And so what happened to me is I ended up moving in with my parents. I'm 40 years old, moved in with my parents because I had no job. I ended up leaving my corporate job long before I left the marriage, but I really just took time to dive into my gifts because with somebody with 12 years of legal experience as a paralegal, I've got a long history of experience. Nobody would hire me in the legal field.
Wow.
Oh, I was applying and rejection after rejection. And I was even applying for jobs that I didn't even want.
Rejection is God's protection. You were not supposed to be there, clearly. Okay.
I could not. And I came from a Fortune 500 company and I had tons of experience.
And everybody needed paralegal. Yeah, that is really interesting.
Nobody would hire me. And I just remember being like, oh, okay, so if I can't go work for somebody, I'm just going to work on my gifts. I'm just going to explore trusting myself, explore my gifts. And me doing that led me to go on to a retreat in Costa Rica where I met Latha and meeting my soul family and having one of the psychic mediums there validate my gifts again. She was like, girl, you're you're doing it. You know what you're doing. I had visions there of what I was supposed to be doing, which was me helping people connect with their gifts. And at the time when I would see the visions, I was actually shown the mentorship program that I have now. I remember seeing it and I remember thinking, what? There's no way I could do that. Not me. I'm not good enough to do that. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I just remember being so floored with that vision. And it took me like 8 months to solidify that vision into physical reality, where I opened the mentorship program. And I remember I ended up like sharing my story on TikTok, and it like blew up, and I had 100 applications like overnight. It was just so wild, where I was just like, okay, here's my program. If you want to come learn what I learned, here you go. And it was so beautiful, because if I would have gotten the job, if I wasn't rejected, I probably wouldn't have spent so much time learning how to trust myself and learning how to own who I am and helping other people do the same. And I would have never been in the position where I am today, where I'm teaching. I've worked with over 150 women at this point on how to connect with their intuition. And if you would have told me this 2 years ago, there was no way I would have believed you. No way. But I just kept following my intuition. I kept following the visions that I was having, the intuitive pulls that I was having, the connection that I had with my guides. They were like, you need to go this way, and here you go. And I feel like we don't really realize that every step that we take is really leading us to the next step and the next step. And it doesn't make sense until maybe you're at the end, or not the end, because there really is no end. But if you just are at a different point and you can see a different perspective. So
You
for
just
me,
keep going. You keep going. I want to slash. Just keep going.
just
You
keep
got this. You
going.
got this. Just keep going. Just keep taking it one foot in front of another. I want to
Yeah.
somehow say, just keep going. Don't stop. Just keep going.
No.
You know,
And
and so many people's messages are they're getting messages from other people are like, I've never talked about this. And Trevor Turnbull, his message was he had a message in his sleep from somebody and the message was just keep going.
yeah.
And I was like, that's my message. I've had messages from like my silent retreat, which was like my first time doing that. And by the fifth day, I'm like, I'm seeing dead people. And my message was just keep going. I was like, yeah, I've had that one before. And I was
Yeah,
like,
it's just so
yeah,
amazing if you just
right?
keep following those intuitive hits that you're having,
Exactly.
and you trust that, okay, this is leading. I have no idea where I'm going, but I'm just going to trust it. Is it easy? No. Sometimes, you know how many times I cried in my bed, like wishing I could just get a job? Can someone just hire me? But if, again, it would have
Yeah,
not worked out the way that it worked out now if it did.
I know.
It makes so much
Sometimes
sense.
sometimes it's like, okay, God, I need you to be a little blatant. Maybe I'm not getting the message. But it's like, and then I'm like ducking. I'm going to get hit by lightning or something.
Yeah.
Like, what? No, it's not that. I love that. Do you have a message of hope you want to give? Although I feel like this has all been a message of hope, but yeah.
I want to tell everybody to trust yourself, to trust and own who you are, because that will get you way farther than pretending to be somebody that you're not.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yay. What's the hardest challenge you've gone through? And how did you get through it in your life?
The hardest challenge I've gone through, going through a divorce.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
amazing. It was not fun whatsoever. And it was really, it helped me maintain boundaries of what I would and would not allow in my life. And I'm so happy to be on the other side, because I am divorced now. I'm done. And I feel this deep sense of peace within myself that was there all along, but I just couldn't quite access it because I didn't have the environment that I needed. And now that I'm in a different environment and there's different people around me, I feel so much better. So if I could do it again, I would definitely go through a divorce again. I would go through everything I've ever been through just to get to this point, because it's so worth it.
Yeah, hindsight's great.
Yes.
It's, oh yeah, I had my most growth through all the hardest
Oh,
things.
yes.
But boy, it sucked going through it. Yeah. Oh, it's so great talking to you. We'll definitely go live and we'll definitely do a healing in the Facebook and
Yes.
let everyone tap into that.
I would
So,
love that.
yay. Thank you so much for being a guest today on 52 Weeks of Hope.
Thank you.